Hello, 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 and welcome back to yet another mock draft video. Today we got the part four to the NFL 2025 mock draft. It's mock draft Monday. I've been doing these in like 2 week installments because if I was doing a mock draft every day, man, I see some YouTube channels out there where like their whole channel is built around like the draft and they're doing like mock draft videos like every 2 days. Like, how does that not get repetitive? I don't understand. Like they must hate the draft at that point. But I'm not knocking anybody's hustle. Uh, let's get right into it, man. Beautiful sunny day, not as freezing. Thank you all for watching. All right, let's get right into it. Share my screen here. Okay. So, do I want to talk about the order first? I'm gonna just leave it as it is. The Jaguars continue to lose, and they're gonna have this first overall pick. Now, in my last mock draft that I did, I had the Jaguars trading out of this spot, which I think is very realistic here. Listen, I think that there is a team, whether it's the Raiders, the Giants, the Jets, the Titans, the Browns, whoever it is. I think there is a team out there who has their sights set on either Shadur Sanders or Cam Ward, and they really don't like the other guy. So I wholeheartedly think if a team is afraid, like if you're looking at the Giants, right, I think that'd be the most realistic thing, right? If this was the draft order, you look at the Giants at number three, they would probably be terrified of the Raiders drafting their guy. So in order to ensure that they get their guy, whoever they want more between Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders, I could absolutely see them trading up only two spots to secure their guy. That's what I had them doing in my last mock draft. But in this mock draft, I'm going to have the Jaguars keeping this pick. And with them keeping this pick, we got to look at what they need most. They need help at cornerback. This defense needs to be better. Offensively, they have a lot of holes. This offensive line needs work. They just traded their left tackle to the Vikings this season. So they need a lot of help in a lot of areas. That's why I think them trading this pick would be so beneficial. But if they do, in fact, hold on to this pick, I'm going to have them picking Travis Hunter. I think he is widely considered to be the best player in the draft overall, an absolute freak of nature, can play both sides, and he will play both sides. There are some people who they cannot produce an argument. All they say is, well, he won't play both sides in the NFL. Why? There will be receivers who are much worse than Travis Hunter in this class that play offensive snaps in the NFL next year. There will be corners in this class way worse than Travis Hunter who play snaps next year. Why would Travis Hunter, who's a top five receiver and a top two corner in this class, not play both sides? It just makes no sense, especially for a team like the Jaguars who needs help at receiver and help at cornerback. Yeah. I think Travis Hunter, he'd be a good duo, though, with Tyson Campbell on defense and with Brian Thomas on offense. The Jaguars would actually be working with something there. He returns to his home state of Florida, played high school right next to me in Collins Hill, but I think he was born in Florida. So Jaguars take Travis Hunter number one overall. Number two, we have the Raiders here. And this really, listen, the Raiders and the Giants are the most desperate, horrendous QB situations in the NFL. They will both be drafting quarterback. If you do not know my opinion on this quarterback class, I think it's a very bad quarterback class. I think there's only three guys who can possibly go in the first round, and only two guys that I would draft in the top 10. I have massive problems with both Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders. I think both of them suffer from this hero ball thing where they just try to make every single play a highlight. They they do not understand living to play another down, living to play another series. Throw the ball away. Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders. Get the ball out of your hands quickly. Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders. Specifically, Shadur Sanders. Stop getting all these fucking intentional grounding calls. Take a sack or don't run out of the pocket after 1 second. This is the problem. Guys like Shadur Sanders are so used to having a terrible offensive line that they think that every pocket is collapsing immediately. Even when Shadur Sanders has good protection, he will leave the pocket unnecessarily and it will result in a sack, of holding, or something like that, right? These guys have a lot of room, or they have a long ways to go before they are top level NFL quarterbacks, but I think they both do have that potential. Who do I think teams like more? Honestly, I like Cam Ward a little bit more than Shadur Sanders. But from what I've heard and what I continue to hear, Shadur Sanders is consensus the number one guy. So the Raiders here at number two, I'm going to have them taking Shadur Sanders to be their franchise guy. Maybe they get Dion too. No, Dion is not leaving Colorado. He would not be recruiting at such a high level if he was planning to leave. The Giants at number three, same thing. I already mentioned it. Desperately need a quarterback. They already cut Daniel Jones. I'm gonna have them drafting Cam Ward here. Maybe they don't love Cam Ward and they do something else here, but I mean, Cam Ward, like it's not like he's a bad player. I have him as a top 10 overall type pick. I don't have him as a generation. I don't have either of these guys as generational first, no, like number one overall pick type quarterbacks. But if you're the Giants and you desperately need quarterback, Cam Ward is more than talented enough for you to spend a top three pick on him. So Raiders take Shadur, Giants take Cam Ward. Number four of the New England Patriots here. A lot of options you can go. You have holes really everywhere. I've had them going offensive line the majority of the time here, which they see why. But I think for an offensive lineman, I think it may be better for a team to go out and try to improve via free agency. We see how many young offensive linemen are just complete busts. To spend a top four pick, I need a guy who I'm a little more sure of. And with this offensive line class, there are a lot of question marks. There is not a Joe Alt in this class, for example. So I'm going to stick at receiver actually and bring in their future franchise receiver, Tedroy McMillan. It is so funny. McMillan has like 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns this season, but it's still such a massive disappointment because it's like you can see how good he could have been. Arizona's offensive line was a disaster. Their quarterback was a disaster. And McMillan still had like 1,400 plus yards, 10 touchdowns. He could have absolutely broken records this year as a receiver if he played on a different team. But yeah, Tedroy McMillan, a ridiculous size, speed, fluidity, great hands. I mean, he has all the traits that you need from a good receiver, but he's in Calvin Johnson's body. So it's yeah, give me Tedroy McMillan. I know they already have a couple receivers, but between Demario Douglas, Keyshawn Booty, Jalen Polk, somebody's going to have to hit the road because McMillan's coming in. He's their number one. The Panthers at five, they have been playing much better. I'd say the last three games, but really their last two games against the Buccaneers and Chiefs, Bryce Young has played amazing. Drafting a quarterback is off the table for the Carolina Panthers. And listen, I have seen a lot of people go defense with this pick, and I just don't understand it. The future, the way for them to win games, at least in the near future, right, is by like putting weapons around Bryce Young. He still does not have any receiver help besides 40-year-old Adam Thielen, who's probably gone after this year, and Xavier Legette. They need somebody else in there. The problem at number five is that you don't really got many options at receiver. I usually go McMillan with this pick. I don't really think you'd spend a top five pick on guys like Emeka Ibuka, definitely not Isaiah Bond, Ironmaner. I'm going to have them slightly reaching on a guy like Luther Burden because Luther Burden, I think, could be a nasty slot receiver in the NFL. And you look at a team like the Panthers, that's what they need. Xavier Legette's more of a big body outside red zone threat. They need a guy who's shifty underneath that Bryce Young can get the ball out of his hands quickly to. And Luther Burden, even though he's not had the best season because Missouri, similar to Arizona, has just been very disappointing in terms of quarterback play and all that. Luther Burden still has the skill set, I think, to be a top five pick. And that would mean that three of the top five picks, with 50-50 being Travis Hunter, are receivers. That is hilarious to me. Now, number six overall, the New York Jets. I had them drafting Jalen Milroe here last time. And they absolutely need quarterback help. Don't get me wrong. But man, I don't feel that Milroe is a top 10 pick at this point in time. I'd have him middle to the end of the first round. You'd have to take a shot on a guy like Jalen Milroe. So the Jets here at number six, I don't know if they're going to keep Aaron Rodgers or not. They probably shouldn't. They should look to move on, get a guy like Justin Fields, or look and see if the Vikings are willing to move JJ McCarthy. They need to get younger. They desperately need to move on from Aaron Rodgers. But if they don't draft a quarterback, I would just say take the best player available. And in my opinion, that would be either Mason Graham out of Michigan or Will Johnson out of Michigan. They already have Sauce Gardner. DJ Reed is coming up towards the end of his contract. They already have Quinnen Williams in the middle of that interior defensive line, but I would rather pair another monster next to him and make each of their lives easier as a result. So give me Mason Graham at number six to the Jets. Number seven, the Titans. They desperately need receiver help. They brought in DeAndre Hopkins last year. They signed Calvin Ridley in the offseason. And now at this point in time, they are still stuck with their with the reality of Nick Westbrook Akine being their best receiver. Things have gone horrendously bad over the last few years for the Titans receiver room, all starting with them trading away AJ Brown. Uh, man, I'm just gonna say, well, because they can't draft a receiver here. It's way too high. They could trade down, but I don't know who would trade up at this point. I'm just gonna have them stick and pick and draft some help at offensive line because they desperately need more help on the O line. You got guys like J.C. Latham. You got the center Aaron Brewer from not Aaron Brewer. You got the center who's their old center. You got the center Lloyd Cushenberry from the Broncos. You got Peter Skoronski. That's all the left side. Get me a right tackle here in Tennessee. I had them going Kelvin Banks last time. I'm gonna keep it the same. Kelvin Banks out of Texas. In terms of guys who project as a tackle, I think Kelvin Banks might be the number one in this class. There's a lot. It's a deep tackle class. There could be 5 or 6 tackles that go in the first round. Kelvin Banks, I think, just fits that build, that prototype a little more than those other guys. Browns at 8 here. I had them drafting Will Campbell last time. I honestly could see it Ashton Jeanty because Nick Chubb is coming towards the end of his deal. Um, what's his name? Jerome Ford has just fallen off. So I could honestly see a Ashton Jeanty pick right here. Quarterback, I'm kind of falling out of love with the idea of the Browns taking a quarterback here, especially since they've been winning games recently. So I don't think they'll have the ability to draft a Cam Wood or Shedeur Sanders. So they need so much help. This offense is horrendous. I'm just gonna have them doing what I had them doing last time, going for a tackle, taking Will Campbell. Whether or not he plays guard at the next level, who knows? He's probably the best offensive lineman in this class, but there's question marks about whether or not he's a tackle or a guard at the next level. The Saints here at number 9. Man, it is ridiculous to me. The amount of the brain dead Saints fans who really think this season is Derek Carr's fault, when in reality, Derek Carr missed like 4 or 5 games and they lost every one of those games. They have not won a game without Derek Carr this year, but they're blaming the season, a season where they fired their head coach. They're blaming that on Derek Carr. Saints fans are so thick in the skull. Derek Carr last week was throwing. Let me try and name Derek Carr's receiving core for you. I know you can't. I'll name it for you. Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He was unemployed about a month ago. Kevin Austin. Who the fuck is that? And who was their other receiver? I forgot. Dante Pettis. He was unemployed like 2 weeks ago. Derek Carr is throwing to absolute nobodies. He has none of his starters. When Derek Carr got there, the receiving core was Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, and Rashid Shaheed. None of them are playing right now, and the Saints fans are blaming Derek Carr for having nobody to throw to. So all that to say, they need receiver. They need, but do they go defense? Because all of these guys in the defense, Tyrann Mathieu, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, they're all getting old. Brian Brzee had a good season. Honestly, I could see them going defensive line. They need an edge rusher. They've been trying to draft edge rusher like every draft, it feels like. They need some help. They could also, even though they have a really good cornerback room, they traded Marshawn Lattimore. And I believe Paulson Adebo is on the last year of his deal. I would simply just pay Adebo and have him come back. But Will Johnson is also available here. So I'm gonna go. I know Abdul Carter is ranked all the way up here. I think James Pierce has been possibly the best edge rusher in the country this year. So I'm going to scroll all the way. I don't know why he's ranked all the way down here. I'm going to scroll all the way down and draft James Pierce as the first defensive player, well, first edge rusher off the board. Bengals at 10. It's as simple as this. Do you pay Trey Hendrickson or T. Higgins this offseason? Listen, I would rather pay the best edge rusher statistically in football this year. The best edge rusher on the planet this year has been Trey Hendrickson. I would rather pay that guy than my number 2 receiver. Now listen, T. Higgins would be a lot of teams' number 1 receiver. You're losing a very valuable player, but you're going to lose a great player either way. I'd rather bring it back the guy who's the best at his position than the guy who's not even the best on our team. So I'd let T. Higgins walk. Now, if that's the case, you have an issue because you're now missing your number 1 receiver or your number 2 receiver. What do you do? I would say you bring in a guy in state, very close to home, who doesn't have to play outside, can play inside, kind of fill that Tyler Boyd role that you're missing from last year. I would bring in Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. Play him next to Jamar Chase, short, intermediate type routes. Probably not going to be the full version of what T. Higgins is right now, but Emeka Egbuka with Joe Burrow at QB staying in Ohio, I like that a lot actually for the Bengals. The Bears at number 11, they keep losing games, man. It's simple, man. Caleb Williams is the most sacked player in the world right now, and he needs help on the offensive line. So that's what we're going to do right here. The question is who? I wouldn't be mad at any of these guys. Josh Simmons, Ariante Ursary, Cam Williams. I had them going Ariante Ursary last time. This time I have him taking Cam Williams. He just has that size and that build that makes you think, okay, if nothing else, he will not fail at the next level because he's too small. That's the thing with Cam Williams. So I'm gonna have the Bears taking Cam Williams to potential. I don't even know because they got Darnell Wright. They kick Darnell Wright to left tackle. Do they put Cam Williams at left tackle? I don't know, but just they need help. So I'm gonna draft a tackle at number 11 for the Bears. Number 12, we have the Dolphins. Last time, what did I have them taken last time? Where is the Dolphins? Okay, I had him going Will Johnson last time. You know what? I actually like that a lot. Will Johnson just tends to fall in my mock drafts. I don't know why. He's a great player, dealing with some injuries right now. Do I give them Will Johnson again? I feel like this offense has been struggling, but it's not because of a personnel issue. They have Jalen Waddle, they have Tyreek Hill, they have Jonnu Smith, they have a stable of running backs. I really don't feel like it's a personnel issue on the offensive side. So I am going to go with the best player available. Give me Will Johnson out of Michigan. Pair him next to Jalen Ramsey. Who knows how long Jalen Ramsey will be there? Most people don't even like. Most people forgot that he's actually on the Dolphins, but they got rid of Xavier Howard this offseason. They need help at cornerback. I'm gonna give them Will Johnson. Cowboys at 13. This is the most obvious pick in the entire draft, bar none. Give me Ashton Jeanty. I mean, we're talking about the worst running back room in the NFL. Okay, with the most generational running back prospect since Bijan Robinson. It is a no-brainer. And with a team like the Cowboys, they usually like you can predict their picks a little easier than others, I feel like. So yeah. Cowboys take Ashton Jeanty at number 13. Niners at 14 here. Niners continue to lose, by the way. Their playoff hopes are not dead in the water, but it's getting pretty close. Okay, they were number 18 2 weeks ago. They move up to number 14 after losing back-to-back games. So, what do you do with the Niners? I think the cornerback room, honestly, I think edge rusher is more of a need than cornerback because you got guys like Renardo Green who have stepped out there playing well. I don't really feel like their cornerback room is that big of an issue. Offensive line, yeah, I could see that as well. I gave him offensive line last time. I'm gonna give him edge rusher. Honestly, I know you got Abdul Carter right there. I know you got Nick Bosa. Leonard Floyd is in his 30s. I have to assume he's on the last year of his contract. You need somebody else there. Whether it's after Nick Bosa leaves, because he's been there for a long. I mean, he's been there since what, like 2016 at this point. So I mean, I think 2019 actually. He's been there at least like 5, 6 years. So he's not a young guy. So I think edge rusher would not only help this team because whoever's playing on the opposite side of Nick Bosa is going to wreak some havoc. So Abdul Carter potentially get yourselves two all pro level pass rushers to really make this defense dominant again because it has not been dominant this season. The Colts at 15. What direction do you go here? Honestly, the Colts tight ends have been so bad for so long. You got guys like Alec Ogletree catching passes. I think AR needs a guy, a reliable guy, to try and help him turn in to a more consistent short ball thrower. And listen, this guy is more than capable of stretching the field and catching some deep passes. But give me Colston Loveland out of Michigan. He's had a really good year despite them not knowing what a forward pass is at Michigan. So give me Colston Loveland at 15. The Colts now have a very, very good Colston Loveland, A.D. Mitchell, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor. If that's the weapons that AR has to work with, the pressure's all on him. He cannot fail when you have that many talented weapons on the offense. So I like that pick from the Colts. Number 16, the Buccaneers. This is a cornerback or an edge rusher. I'm gonna take cornerback here. I'm gonna take cornerback. Benjamin Morrison is still available. I know he's struggled with a hip injury, I believe. We will await the status on that, see how much that actually affects his draft stock. I would be shocked if he falls outside the top 20 because if you look at look at these four straight teams: Niners, Colts, Bucks, Rams, even the Cardinals. You have five straight teams that could take him here. So I'd be shocked if they all pass on him. Give me Benjamin Morrison to the Buccaneers at 16. Rams at 17. Could absolutely have gone corner here. I think Malachi Starks is a really good option, actually. Um, Linebacker. Is this an offensive or defensive pick? I honestly I could see Jalen Milroe here. I really could see Jalen Milroe, the Rams right here. You know what I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give the Rams Jalen Milroe because if the Rams miss the playoffs, right, they have to start looking to the future. I understand, but like I understand how good Matthew Stafford's been. I know he's won you a ring, but man, if they miss the playoffs this year, I really could see them moving off of Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and just starting over. Hit the reset button with guys like Jalen Monroe, Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, and just, move on. So a lot depends on whether or not the Rams make the playoffs this year. The Cardinals have now lost back-to-back games. They were doing much better 2 weeks ago. They were actually at 22, so they're at 18 now. I had them drafting Kenneth Grant last time, and I could still see that as a possibility. I feel like this offense needs some more help. Don't get me wrong, this defense is weak, but I feel like this offensive line could use some more help. They drafted Paris Johnson last year. I would like them to double dip at tackle. Give me Josh Simmons at 18 to the Cardinals. That's good value, I think. Josh Simmons has played very well at Ohio State. He did suffer an injury, I believe, in the Oregon game, right before during the Oregon game. He's a good player. I think certainly a top 25 pick. Cardinals draft him at 18 for me. Falcons at 19. Falcons continue to lose games, man. It's been very concerning here, but the question is simple. They don't generate pass rush at all. Arnold Ebiketie has not been good. Matthew Judon has not done what they hoped he would. They need a guy. They need a real difference maker at edge rusher. The question is, who is it? Because there's a lot of there is a lot of options here. Nick Scorton, Jalen Walker, Michael Williams, Shamar Stewart, LT Overton, Landon Jackson, Umali Allen, Jack Sawyer, Kyle Kennard. All of these guys, there are so many options. There's going to be like 12 D linemen and edge rushers that go in the first two rounds, and they're all going to be really talented. I'm gonna go. I mean, it's hard to pass up right on the possibility of keeping one of these Georgia guys in town. I'm just gonna go Michael Williams. I gave them Nick Scorton last time. Michael Williams, he's had moments at Georgia that make you go, wow, he could be a monster. He could be Trayvon Walker 2.0. We see how good he's playing for the Jaguars these last 2 years. I think Michael Williams could be a very similar story there. So give me Michael Williams at number 19. Broncos at 20. Very, very surprising season. They've exceeded all expectations. Bo Nix is playing incredibly well. And I'm going to keep saying the same thing for them. I think they need either a wide receiver, but now they just cut Greg Dulcich, their former second round pick, never got it going at the NFL level. I know you got guys like Isaiah Bond on the board. I'm not a big Isaiah Bond guy. I already drafted Emeka Egbuka earlier. Give me Tyler Warren to the Broncos at number 20 and give Bo Nix a real weapon, a freak who could line up at center, running back, fullback, tight end, put him out wide. Tyler Warren's a very versatile weapon, and I think Sean Payton would have a lot of fun trying to figure out how to get him involved. So you got him, Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Deshaun Vele, Javonte Williams. You got a lot of options now if you draft Tyler Warren into that offense. My Seahawks, number 21. We've won back-to-back games, which is shocking. I honestly thought the Seahawks season was dead in the water about 3 weeks ago, but we've won back-to-back games, and we're all the way up here, leading the NFC West comfortably. What do we do here at number 21? Listen, I know we have holes. Believe me, we could draft a corner here. I think Siobhan Revel actually would be a pretty solid pick here. We could draft a corner. We could draft a linebacker. We could draft an edge rusher. But we just have to draft offensive line. I don't care. We drafted an offensive guard last year. Give me a tackle or a guard. We need depth. We need help. Who's the best on the board right now? Ooh, I like Ariante Ersary, Wyatt Milam to kick inside. I'm not sure that a guard is going to go in the first round, so I'm really not sure about Jonas Savania or Tyler Booker. So give me Ariante Ersary here from Minnesota. I don't care where he plays. You can put him anywhere on the offensive line. He'd probably start besides maybe left tackle. We need help. Please help us, Ariante Ursary. Commanders at 22. Lost 1-1-1 since the last video. They cut Emmanuel Forbes. They just straight up cut him like he's out the door. They they need cornerback help. They drafted Mike Sanders still last year, but he's more of a nickel. They need a boundary corner that's not named Benjamin St. Juste. Um, Give me Siobhan Revel. Actually, give me Jade Barron. Jade Barron's been playing so well this season. He has played himself into the first round in my eyes. Um, just really, I mean, he might be the Thorpe winner when it's all said and done this season. He's just had that good of a season. So yeah, give me Chavon Revel, or not Chavon, give me Jade Barron to the Commanders there. Texans at 23. They've recently just beat the Jaguars here. I just feel like for the Texans, the only option I'm listening to is offensive line. The defensive line, I understand, but you got Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. I mean, your D line is good in my opinion. Give me an offensive lineman. I'm gonna take Wyatt Milam. From what I've heard, he's a very good player, but most likely will be a guard. But when you have a tackle that can kick to guard, what that means is you have a guy who can play, who's versatile, can play multiple positions, and is probably really, really good at. Because if you're a good tackle, you're probably going to be a really good guard. That's just how I feel about it. So, I mean, Wyatt Milam to the Texans, they desperately need help. They need more protection for CJ Stroud. Ravens at 24. Hmm. They got a lot of options here. Malachi Starks continues to fall for me. He's such a good player. You know, the Ravens. Give me Malachi Starks, the Ravens. They're secondary. They got some studs, right? They got Kyle Hamilton. They got Marlon Humphrey. They drafted Nate Wiggins to be their outside boundary corner. Give me Malachi Starks, who has the versatility, can play in so many different roles. Can you imagine a secondary that starts Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton up top? That is crazy. Yeah, yeah, I like that pick a lot for the Ravens. Malachi Starks just falls and falls and falls. Ravens pick him up, use him wherever they need him on that secondary. Really a Brian Branch type player. Chargers at 25. Tight end has been my pick for them like always, but what do you know? Colston Loveland's not available. You know who is available? Michigan guy, Kenneth Grant. Give me Kenneth Grant. I mean, listen, if Kenneth Grant or Colston Loveland is available by the time the Chargers pick and they don't draft either of them, I will be shocked. My mind will be blown. They just, Jim Harbaugh just has to draft one of them. And just, but listen, they're both good players at positions of need, so it's like it makes sense. It's just destiny, I guess. The Steelers at 26. The Steelers offense has been looking so good as of late. I don't even know if they need to draft an offensive player. Now, listen, they could use some help at wide receiver, but George Pickens has been so good. It's an interesting spot. Who did I have? I think I had him going Isaiah Bond last time. I did have them going Isaiah Bond. I don't love that patch. I just really, I don't like Isaiah Bond as a prospect. I mean, he's at like 400 yards this year. I mean, you're going to draft a guy who's never had an 800-yard season in the first round of the draft. I mean, I'm really thinking about this. I honestly could see them going a defensive player here, more help in the secondary. I'm gonna give him a cornerback. Get some long-term help next to Joey Porter Jr. that is not named Deontay Johnson. He's a little older. He's been around the league a few times. Give me who would they want here? It's between Siobhan Revel and Trey Amos. Siobhan Revel has the injury concerns. Give me Trey Amos out of Ole Miss. He's had a really good year. He's been their best DB by a mile. The Steelers, I know they have some they could draft a really good receiver in the second or third round. I don't know if you're gonna get a really good corner at that spot. So give me Trey Amos out of Ole Miss. Packers at 27 here. You know, I had them going edge last time. It's such a boring spot. I really don't think they need offensive line. I think their offense is pretty much set. The question is, do you draft a DB or you draft an edge rusher? Chavon Revel's on the board. I'm just going to give him Chavon Revel. Eric Stokes has not worked out. They need a boundary corner next to Jair Alexander. Give me Chavon Revel out of East Carolina. Ridiculous size, speed profile. Only thing holding him back is his ACL injury. I believe he suffered. Hopefully he'll be good to start next year. But yeah, he's not gonna be a top 20 pick. Vikings at 28 here. I really would have had them going cornerback. I have them going running back every time. Aaron Jones continues to fumble, which is very concerning for me. I think he leads the league in fumbles. So a bit of a concern there if you're a Vikings fan. And that's why I've had them going running back consistently. I could see an offensive lineman pick here. I'm gonna go running back though. I mean, let's see here. Is it Caleb Johnson or Omarion Hampton? Those are the two guys for me. I had him going to Omarion Hampton last. I'm just gonna have I am such a fan of Omarion Hampton. He is such a hard runner, so consistent, doesn't miss a game, gives you 150 plus yards every game. I'm a big fan of Omarion Hampton. He is an absolute beast, and I think he's going to excel at the next level. Such a better running back class than last year, if you think about it. Eagles at 29. Listen, I have tried my best not to give them an edge rusher or a linebacker with every single time we do this draft. But look how deep this edge rusher class is. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm just gonna have them going. I know that Nick Scorton or Jalen Walker, I should say. I don't know between do I have him breaking the Georgia streak or continuing the Georgia streak? That's the question for me here. I'm gonna give him Jalen Walker. Fuck it. Give him a guy who can play stand-up linebacker next to Kobe Dean, his former teammate, or can rush off the edge. Very versatile player, going downhill. Use him a lot of creative ways to generate pressure. I like that pick for the Eagles. Bills at 30. Hmm. Nick Scorington. I'm gonna give him Nick Scoring, man. They need let them help them generate some more pressure. You got Greg Rousseau, you got AJ Epinesa. Von Miller is not getting any younger. Add some more depth, some more juice to that pass rusher room, and have your guy of the future potentially and Nick Scorington. The Chiefs at 31. Tight end, not really an option here now that Tyler Warren is off the board. I had them going Tyler Warren last time. Running back, I could see it. Tackle though. I mean, I'm gonna have him going tackle here, honestly. They could use some more help. Jawan Taylor has not been the move, I think. Actually, I can't because there's no good options at tackle. Who do I have the Chiefs taking here? I'm gonna just go running. Honestly, there's so many fucking running backs. Just draft your Isaiah Pacheco replacement. Who do you want? Is the question. There's so many fucking options here at running back. Give me Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, though. If you put up 23 or whatever touchdowns at Iowa, you're a beast. Caleb Johnson is the only good thing that's happened on the Iowa offense the last 5 years besides Sam Laporta. Give me Caleb Johnson to the Chiefs. And the Lions at 32, projected Super Bowl winners. Is this an edge rusher? Is this an offensive lineman? Certainly could be an offensive lineman. There's a lot of options down the draft. Let me draft one of these really good edge rushers that's on the board right now. Who is it, though? Give me Prince Umali Allen. Prince Umali Allen out of Ole Miss. He's had a really good year. A lot of options at edge rusher. Could have gone a lot of ways. This is going to be it, though, for the number 4.0 mock draft 2025. Here's the final thing right here. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.